Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me on the weekly Sunday stream. If you're just joining or you don't know who I am, I'm John. I'm the Blood Angels commander. And this week is kind of a cool stream we've got planned. We're just going to look at another army list. So it should be quite interesting. I played my fourth game of 9th edition, I was going to say 8th edition, 9th edition of Warhammer yesterday, and finally picked up the first win, and I think I picked up the win against one of the strongest armies that I play against, which is like a Khorne army. So, I was going to share the screenshot or the scoreboard of that army very quickly, and then get on into the stream and start talking about army lists and seeing what people are taking in 9th edition and seeing if we can give our 2 cents and help some people out. So, let's jump straight over and have a look at my battle from yesterday. So obviously it's 9th edition, and I played as a defender and actually hit the first turn, and then from that, secondaries were Assassinate, which is obviously a good primary if the enemy has a lot of characters. I got 12 points. I think he had 5 characters, so almost maxed that. Grind them down. This can be an interesting one if you're playing against army with a lot more units than you do. I think I had like 14 or 15 units, and I think he had 20. I feel like maybe there was a few turns where he had like one guy left in a squad, and as such I didn't quite win grind me down. I got 3 of the 5 turns, so I mean it was decent, but it could have been better. And then it was a Khorne army with a lot of vehicles, so bring them down. It's 2 points for a vehicle, I believe, under 10 wounds, and 3 points for a vehicle over 10 wounds. I mean, I would have had like 20 points. I definitely maxed that. So I mean, he assassinated 3 characters. I believe I had 4. It was the Vital Ground Battle Lines objective, so this was cool as well. You know what? Maybe in some of the future streams we'll talk over like objectives and what's good, what are good secondaries to take for Blood Angels in 9th edition. I've been having a lot of success with Grind Them Down and Assassinate. Actually, like, it's very easy for us to kill characters. We can usually kill more than what we lose. But yeah, this was the first one where I was playing against, like, I think he had 3 rhinos and like 2 hell beasts, a Lord Discordant, and some other chaos thing that I didn't even know what it was. But yeah, there was a lot of points I could have got out of Bring It Down. So yeah, finally off the mark, and quite a convincing win here, 11 victory points. And I feel like I've got a handle on my list now. I'll maybe share my list in the near future. But today we actually have a submission from a community member. So I just want to say thank you again. I mean, I think I've actually had 2 lists this week, but I'm just going to go with the lists that I get first. So this list this week is from a guy called Miles, and this was from Facebook. So as always on this Sunday stream, we're going to build the list in Battlescribe, and then I'll share the list with the person that sent it across, but also I will also maybe in the future I'll start putting all these lists on Google Drive as well, so people can grab the lists if they want. And sometimes it's nice to have a list that's already there, and then you can tweak it if you think maybe you don't own all the models that are available in the list, or just it's up to you what you want to do with it. Okay, without further ado, if you're not familiar with Battlescribe, then this stream will also teach you how to Battlescribe. So all we've done here is file new, make a new list, give it a name. You don't have to give it a name, but and then you need to add your first force. So this is a Blood Angels force, and we will go ahead and add the battalion detachment. Great. So at this point, then you choose the battle size. It's a new thing that you do now, and it's a strike force, which is 1001 to 2000 points. So you get your 12 CP, and I think that's all you need to do right now. if you were going to take an additional relic, you would select it up here. I guess if you're going to take assassins, you'd select them here as well. So, okay, so first of all, this list is captain, and as always, or I say as always, as usual, the captain has his jump pack. He is the warlord. He has joined the Death Company via Death Visions of Sanguinius. He has a Storm Shield. So someone commented on one of my streams the other day that the Storm Shield now is just a 4+ invulnerable save and +1 to your regular save. Now, I believe that that's what they're maybe changing Storm Shields to, but until we get the new codex, we're supposed to still roll with the rules that we know. So Storm Shields are 3+. When they do change it, it's going to be an interesting choice, right? Because like a 2+ armor save for 10 points is not that strong. I mean, increasing the invulnerable save by 1 from 4 to 3 is strong, I feel, but yeah, so anyway, this captain has the Storm Shield. He has the Angel's Wing, so obviously, wherever that may be, Angel's Wing. So he can't be overwatched. He gets to reroll his failed charges, and he has a Thunderhammer, which is pretty much the weapon of choice, right, for the Smash captain. If you have been if you did watch my video this week, then you'll know that there may be some other options coming. I can never find Thunder. Yeah, it's down here. Okay, so Thunderhammer. And then it's also got the Gift of Foresight, which is the... Each time your Warlord loses a wound, roll a 6 and feel no pain if you get the... roll a dice. On a 6 you feel no pain and are re-rolling 1. So, yeah, I mean... I can understand that. Because when you add that to Death Visions of Sanguinius, you then reroll on your 5s and 6s, and you so you roll your 5s and 6s, you save on 5 and 6s, and then you reroll 1s. That's great. Personally, I'm not the hugest fan of this, right? I guess the reason I'm not the hugest fan of this is, like, I just feel like Smash Captain dies quite often. He really needs to get in, do his damage, and then he usually gets focus targeted. People fall back and shoot him. I've not had great results personally with Gift of Foresight. Like, it usually doesn't keep him alive. If people want to kill him, they're going to kill him. So I always find that just going with Artisan of War or something like that, where he has the ability to do the extra 1 damage per hit, is better. But, I mean, I get why people use Gift of Foresight. I just haven't had very many positive experiences with it, whereas I have had positive experiences with Artisan of War. Just last week I had Gift of Foresight and I needed to save 2 wounds and I rolled the double 4. So it's like, okay, he's dead, you know? Whereas maybe if I'd had the 1 more damage, it would have been more effective in the first place. So, okay, so Lamartez is his next pick. And we look with Lamartez at the Canticle of Hate, which is obviously the one that gives the bonus to +2 to charge rolls. Note that this doesn't stack with the Blood Angels +1 to charge. So really for us, it is only a +1 to charge. So you would then, from well, you can't even use it on Deep Strike because litanies get cast in the beginning of your turn. If Lamartez isn't on the board, then you aren't going to be able to use you aren't really going to be able to Deep Strike Lamartez and get value out of this. But yeah, so it does give you +2 to charge, and I guess it can be used to help. What it does also let you do is consolidate 6, which is very handy for getting across to the next units or keeping the combat going, I guess. And then another popular choice I see a lot of is the Librarian Dreadnought. I actually don't own this Librarian Dreadnought. But it seems to crop up in a lot of people's lists, and it has the Stormbolter and it has a Furioso Fist and Quickening, meaning you can add an additional D3 attacks, and also 3 to your advance and charge rolls. So I guess you'd actually be adding 4 to your charge rolls with this for the Blood Angels. And the wings obviously let the Dreadnought fly 12. So this Dreadnought, I believe, moves 7? As I say, I don't have this Dreadnought. No, he moves 6. So he moves 6, he can fly 12, then you can get +4 to your charge. So even with a double 1, you essentially would be able to move 6. So you've basically got a 24-inch guaranteed engagement range with another 6, so a 30-inch. So 24 inches to 30 inches is his engagement. I can see why people use him, right? Because he would get 3 attacks, +4 for charging, +5 if we're in Assault Doctrine in turn 3, and then your D3 attacks if your psychic power goes off. So I mean, potentially 8 attacks. The halberd, I believe, is what, strength +4, so it's strength 10 weapon, -4 flat 3 damage. I mean, I can see why that would be useful. Hits on 2s as well. So hits on 2, strength 10, -4, 3 damage a pop. I mean, to jump in and just smash something in the face, it could definitely be worth it. I mean, technically he could be a warlord and have Artisan of War or something. So, or he could be just a hero of the chapter and give him you could just hero of the chapter of him and give him Artisan as well, or Speed of the Primarch, let him always fight twice. Maybe I need to buy one of these. I don't know why I haven't bought one, but I see a lot of people take them. I do think it's a good, strong, solid choice. Okay, and then troops. So Miles was going to run an Assault Intercessor squad. I had really good results with these this week, actually. What's wrong with him? Oh yeah, he gets the default litany as well, which is when you roll unmodified 6 in close combat, your weapon armor penetration increases to -4. I wonder if does that stack with Savage Echoes? Like, so if Savage Echoes prop, like if you're in Assault Doctrine, is that then -5 from Invocation of Destruction? I mean, maybe. I don't feel like there's too much difference between -4 and -5. There's not much. There's not many people saving from one to the other. So, I guess there's that. Okay. So we have the Assault Intercessor squad, and like I said, I had really good results with these guys this week. I had good results with them in turn 1. So they get their 2 attacks, 3 from having the chainsword, 4 from charging, so it was 4 per regular guy and 5 for the sergeant in turn 1, and I guess so that's 21 attacks the squad gets. Is that right? Yes. 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, and then if we do get to turn 3, it's 26. I mean, these guys actually murdered a squad of Khorne Berserkers in my battle, and then they died, obviously, because but I think they murdered the Berserkers and they consolidated into an objective, actually, and stopped my enemy getting 3 points, which was actually stopped them getting 5 points. So that was actually quite an important move. So Assault Intercessors, I actually really like them. I feel like they're just, if you get a charge off with them, they're very strong, and I feel like they bring quite a bit of value, or they bring quite a bit of options to the Blood Angels. So Miles is going to run 2 squads of these, and then he's going to run 2 Intercessor squads. And up until now, this is very close to what I've been running. However, I've been having big problems with Intercessor squads in that my friends, you typically have deep striking troops, and these deep striking troops could be like Repentia from the Sisters of Battle, or they could be Seraphim again from the Sisters of Battle, or the other deep strikers I've had to put up with is Chaos Terminators with Melta-Guns, or with one with a Melta-Gun and Combi Flamers. So typically in 9th edition, you're going to be leaving some troops on an objective, right? And my problem was, like, I was thinking, well, we'll just pick cheap troop choices like scouts or tactical squads. Even I ran one of my 9th edition games with tactical squads, and I also ran intercessors, and I leave them on an objective. And usually, what happens is someone deep strikes in and just obliterates them straight off the objective. So when that happens, it can essentially lose you 5 points in the game. So while, I mean, I guess this is fine to take the intercessor squads, I just feel like recently I've been using the infiltrator squads, and in my last game, they really were invaluable, and I believe I have another game against Sisters of Battle coming up this week, and I think that the infiltrators are just going to do me a world of good. The Omni Scramblers is really what it's all about. So enemy units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements cannot be set up within 12 inches of this unit. So it basically means that if reinforcements do come in, there's no way for them to charge. Obviously, with Sisters of Battle, they can use Miracle Dice to just pick 2 6s and get that guaranteed 12-inch charge. Well, if they're out with 12 inches, then they can't make a 12-inch charge. So there's that. And then, for like heavy weapons being obviously the Chaos Terminators dropping in with melta guns. Well, they can't fire a combi melta gun if they're out with 12 inches again. So infiltrators, I know it sucks to have to pay 20 points for the Omni Scramblers. I mean, I feel like that's the only advantage that they have maybe over the intercessors. I mean, the intercessors, I typically would put like a grenade launcher on them or something for the 2 points, and then have them like firing crack grenades at 30 range. And obviously these guys, I guess, can't get them. And I think crack grenades are actually getting buffed when we get the new codex. I guess we'll see. But yeah, so I mean, these guys can be set up in concealed positions as well, the infiltrators. So it's 20 points, but is it worth it? I feel like it probably is. So I'm not going to judge too much. Just move on. But something that could improve this list maybe would be to consider maybe just one squad of infiltrators that you can leave on the one objective that you really need to keep, like in your deployment zone, and then move everything else out of. They should be able to keep it pretty secure. So elites. So Blade Guard veterans are up next, and we got 2 squads of Blade Guard veterans. So unfortunately, my made-to-order box of Indomitus hasn't arrived yet, so I don't actually own Blade Guard veterans, but I am very tempted, or I'm very excited to get my hands on them, I guess would be a better way to say it. Can I get the stats to come up here? Maybe. So yeah, moving 6, weapon skill 3, toughness 4. They actually look like they should almost be higher toughness, but that's fine. And then they've got the 3 wounds and quite a few attacks actually. So 3 attacks, so I guess like 4 in the charge, and then 5 once we hit Savage Echoes. And they obviously have that mastercrafted power sword. So I've been having the new Primaris Lieutenant run with mastercrafted power sword, and he's been doing so much work. So I can see why these guys would be popular and good. I guess with our +1 to wound rolls, you're going to be wounding most strength 4 things on 2s, which is always nice. So wounding on 2s -3 or -4 in Assault Doctrine and 2 damage a pop. So yeah, it's quite good to see what these guys would be like. And then obviously they save on 2s with the 4+, so they kind of almost save like Terminators do with Storm Shields. And previously, I guess, but they're only 4 points a model more. So -1 on the invuln save, but 1 extra wound. I guess Terminators are getting that 1 extra wound, so I don't know how these guys will fare up against Terminators with Thundered Hammers and Storm Shields. But it's kind of weird, I guess, in that they're basically kind of the same thing. They just have 1 additional point of movement, and they're Primaris, so I guess they can go in Primaris vehicles. I think I've said it before, I really wish that we could get away from different vehicles requiring, like, you can't transport Primaris and Land Raiders, and you can't transport regular Marines and Repulsors. I think those rules are just stupid, and I don't think they add anything. I think they just. I don't want to say they're just a way to sell new models, because I think that the new models have they have value, right? Like, our Repulsor obviously has a ton of shots, and it's so many different guns. It's great at whittling down armors, and you can have them with las cannons or laser destroyers, and you can still have a ton of bolters and stubbers and onslaught cannons to mop up other units. So I think Repulsors, I think if someone wants a grav tank that can fly and has a -2 to charge, they just buy a Repulsor. It doesn't need to have the rule that you can't put Terminators in it. Same with Land Raiders, right? Right, so anyway, Blade Guard veterans. Yeah, I think they're strong units. I'm not sure if there's a way that he has in his list to deliver them, though. Like, obviously they don't get the teleports that the Terminators get, so I feel like if these guys are just marching up the battlefield, that's not going to be ideal. Like, you probably need an Impulsor to carry them. I assume you can put more than 3 in a Repulsor. Impulsor. But yeah, I think they're a strong unit. I think they do a lot in close combat, but yeah, I think you need a way to deliver them, or you use them as some sort of reinforcements. The thing I do not like personally with reinforcements or strategic reserves in this new edition is when you come in, you have to make that 9-inch charge. So I've been doing some number crunching, and even that 8-inch charge, like, your chances of doing that are like 40-something%. Like I said, I'm going to do a video on charges so people can make a call on that. But like, so you bring in your unit and you only have a 40% chance of getting them where they need to go. So without a delivery method, I mean, you can just walk up the straight in the middle of the battlefield, but I mean, you will get peppered with shots and they'll probably lose some, and then I don't know how effective they are. So there's that. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. Okay. Death Company was his next choice. We all love some Death Company, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with bolt pistols and chainswords. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 with power hammers. It seems like a lot with power hammers, actually. Power hammers, thunder hammers, sorry. You do actually have to give up the bolt pistol to take the thunder hammer. I didn't realise that. But okay. So it's a 10-man Death Company squad. 270 points. Oh, and jump packs. 2 points per model. Okay, so 10 Death Company with bolt pistols and chainswords, and 4 with thunder hammers. So I recently painted some Death Company, and I ran 10 with chainswords and 1 with a thunder hammer. I feel like that was probably the wrong call. Like, I think you probably want 2 with thunder hammer, but I feel like 4 is maybe overkill. That's a lot of points. 34 points per model for a 1 wound guy, and they're feel no pain for the Death Company. On a 6+ only. These guys just haven't been updated in forever. I guess they haven't been updated since before 8th edition, maybe. I feel like I used to play the Death Company in like 4th or 5th edition, and they were the same, where they had their feel no pain, and things were a ton different back then. I feel like these guys are just behind the times. So the rumour is that the Death Company are going to get 2 wounds, and at 2 wounds, at 34 points a model, they're still kind of pricey, right? Like, when you talk about like your Assault Intercessors who are 19 points a model, and have the same 2 wounds. I don't really use Death Company Intercessors, and I've never used them, but if they're a 5-man squad for if they're a 5-man squad for 115 points, then you're talking like 23 points per model. So yeah, I guess you're paying for the Thunderhammer, right? Your Thunderhammer is like 10 points or whatnot. Oh, I'll answer your question in just a second, Red Blade. Yeah, so it's fine to run a Death Company. I don't think I would run a Death Company until the change, right? Right now, I just feel like this 270 points, it's really overcosted. If you think about this, I'll give you an example from the list I just ran. Aggressor squads. You could have a 6-man aggressor squad for the same 270 points, and each aggressor gets 6. What is it? 6. I don't remember the name of their weapons, but I know that they get 6 shots, and then they get D6 additional shots, right? Yeah. Auto Bolt Storm Gauntlets. So each aggressor would get 6 shots with this, and then D6 shots with this. So if we average those as 3, which is actually less than average because half of a D6 is 3.5. So that's 9 shots. So you get your 6 aggressors, each with 9 shots. So that's, 54 shots you would get, right? So these Death Company here, let's assume you fail the charge. Like I just said, you drop them in and you fail the charge because that charge is actually quite hard to get. It's hard to get an 8-inch charge, like a 40% chance. So if you drop them in, you get 6 shots. I've just said those aggressors get 54 shots for the same point value, right? Like, and then if those aggressors don't move, they get to shoot twice. So you're talking 108 shots. I actually just ran these guys as 2 squads of 3, and in one turn where I was sat in the objective, one of my squads just didn't move. So you get 54 aggressor shots, and he was in range of Dante, so they can reroll all their failed misses. So I think out of like 54 shots, maybe like 45 hit or something. Like it's ridiculous. So I just 270 points for that Death Company. At the moment, there's no the value's skewed. I don't want to say there's no value in it. The value's skewed right now. When they get 2 wounds, they are going to be a bit more competitive. But right now, even with 2 wounds, I'm still kind of questioning how strong they would be. If you had them on the board on the first turn, and you use like Forlong Fury to make a pre-game move, so you can make a pre-game move of 12, and then you can roll a d6 and advance them. Remember, you get +1 to advance rolls, so you could potentially advance them between 14 and 19. Yeah, 14 and 19 inches before the game starts. And then if you get the first turn, so I guess you would only do that if you... Do you know if you go first before? I think you know if you go first. I need to check that actually. And then you get to move another 12, so you could potentially move 31 inches with that squad before the game starts, and then you can charge. So I guess that is where the effectiveness or the strength of the Death Company comes from. And I guess having the Thunder Hammers for that sort of movement is great, but I guess you just have to be aware that after that squad hits whatever they're going to be hitting, with 1 wound, they're just going to get wiped straight off the map. Like, they're just not durable. I think the comment Miles made when he sent me this list was he didn't feel his Death Company were durable, and yeah, they're not. I've used Death Company in 8th edition, and had really big problems with them in morale, right? Because like they aren't durable, so you would lose like 6 people. So if you were trying to run like a 20-man Death Company, all of a sudden it's like you need to take a morale test and you lost 6. So unless you roll a 1, you're pretty much losing like a bunch more, or even potentially the whole squad. I know they've changed that now, but yeah, I still think even with 2 wounds, I hope in the Codex Blood Angels they maybe make them a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, but I guess we're going to see. So, okay, question from the live chat is, what's your thoughts on running Mini Marines? I got a small army of Sanguinary Guard, Vets, DC Dreads, and a Smash Captain. So, Sanguinary Guard I feel are strong. I feel they're much stronger if you run the Sanguinary Ancient with them, and you take the Standard of Sacrifice, giving them the 5+ Feel No Pain. I feel like that Standard of Sacrifice is actually valuable to be run with any units, right? Like, he doesn't necessarily need to run with the Sanguinary Guard. You can run that around with your characters. The Sanguinary Ancient, I think I've got him highlighted here right now. He actually has like 3 attacks anyway. This one has an Incarnate Sword, but you can have the Incarnate Axe, or you can even have a Power Fist. And obviously they save on 2+, and he's got 4 wounds, and he would have a 5+ Feel No Pain if he's got the banner around. So, and also the banner lets them reroll the rolls of 1 in their fight phase as well, wound rolls. So, Sanguinary Guard I feel are quite strong. But in 8th edition, I was going to say Power Fists and Jealous Bolters seems like the way to go. But now, I mean, you can run the swords or the axes. They're all the same points cost. You'll hit on 3s and you'll get to reroll your 1s if they're around the banner bearer. So I do like that. Death Company Dread, I actually ran that on my list just this week. Death Company Dread, I think, is super strong against vehicle list, right? He's only power level 9. So for reserves, then you would just pay 1 CP to put your Death Company Dread into reserves. If you take the Magna Grapple for 5 points, you add 2 to your charge rolls against vehicles, and obviously Blood Angels get another +1 to charging. So essentially, when you come on the board from reserve, you have 1 Melt-A-Gun shot because your Heavy Flamer really isn't going to be in range of anything. So if you come in near a vehicle, shoot it with your Melt-A-Gun, and then you have a 6-inch charge against it. So Death Company Dread, I do like. Smash Captain, it's funny, saying that, Smash Captain, I use a Smash Captain in every list I ever used in 8th edition. I think every single game I ever run in 8th edition, I used a Smash Captain. But in 8th edition, he was 25 points less, right? Like, they totally upped the cost of Power Hammers, I think from 14 or 16 or something to 40. So I did use him a lot, and some battles I even had 2 of them, and obviously one is the Warlord, one isn't. But it was much easier to take multiple HQ, I guess, in 8th edition. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate the support. And yeah, I mean, Smash Captain I think is still good. It really depends on what type of list you want to use. I have been kicked a couple of times in unreliable charges, and so I'm trying to build a really decent list that handles this, that provides a decent amount of close combat and a decent amount of shooting. But I know that a lot of people run really heavily close combat Blood Angels lists, and that's fine. And I guess that's why I'm looking at all these lists and kind of trying to figure everything out. But if you have a small army of Sanguinary Guard, Vets, DC Dread, and Smash Captain, yeah, I mean, all those things are still viable. I feel like when you say Vets, I'm guessing you're meaning Vanguard Vets, and while at the moment they probably still have their 1 wound, so I feel like they're probably going to be a little bit overpointed just because they're 1 wound. When they change to 2 wounds, it really depends if the points get changed again, right? Like, I feel like it'd be a bit of a dick move in that the point cost just got increased in the chapter approved book that came out just last month. So I feel like if the Codex is coming out next month, or sorry, we're not in September yet, but it's September in a day or two. If the Codex is coming out next month, I feel like it's going to be a bit weird for them to put the points up again. I think if somebody showed me that Tactical Marines in 8th edition were 12 points, right at the end of 8th edition they put them up to 15, and the new chapter approved, believe puts them up to 18. So, or sorry, are they 12 right now and they're going up to 15? I think that's what it was. I think they were 12 and they've gone up to 15, and maybe the rumour is that they're going to go up to 18. So, it's hard to say. If, are Sanguinary Guard going to go up to 3 wounds because they've already got 2? There's a lot of questions around that, and then there's a lot of questions around, are the points changing? I guess all I can look at is what I'm building right now. And I'll do more streams. The second the new Codex comes out, you can expect I'll get it pre-ordered, and I'll do a video on the channel, and I'll be talking over everything because I'm really quite a competitive player, and I think I was out of the hobby for a long time, and when I came back, I had to start painting from scratch again, mainly because most of the stuff I painted before I painted when I was 12 years old, and it was just terribly painted. Oh, you're very welcome, Redblade. So I have now just passed 5,000 points painted, so I'm now in a sort of good position to be able to actually play a painted competitive list. So yeah, I guess that's. I'm just going to keep going over it, and I'll share the list that I did as well in the next couple of weeks, because I think I have a list now that will win a lot of games. I have a game on Wednesday where I'm trying the list again, so I guess we'll see. So coming back to this army list that we're working on, the next thing that Miles actually picked is a Primaris Ancient, which is actually a really cool model. I've got one and I've painted it, but I've not really used it. So he picked the Primaris Ancient and actually gave him the Standard of Sacrifice. I think that the list he sent me then is slightly wrong, because if he has picked the Standard of Sacrifice on this... Oh no, it isn't wrong actually, I just missed something. So up here I needed to add one additional Relic of Baal for 1 CP. Okay, so this list would start with 11 CP. Okay, so the Standard of Sacrifice, we all know what that does. It's a 6-inch bubble where bikers and infantry get a 5+ feel no pain each time they lose a wound. It doesn't stack with like any units in the Death Company. And also, when... So I haven't used this, I better just read this. So any units within 6 inches add 1 to the leadership, and when any unit is destroyed within 6 inches, they muster enough strength to attack 1 more time. It's pretty cool. It's a bit different from the reroll. It's hard to say, I guess. He's 5 points cheaper, right? So I guess it's probably not as strong if you're making charges. The Primaris Ancient Spanner as the Sanguinary Ancient Spanner, but I mean, it's still interesting. And I do like this, when a unit is dead, it has enough strength to attack 1 last time. Especially if it's a Blood Angels unit in close combat, it usually means you can get like 1 extra Power Fist off as you die, or in the case, I guess, maybe of your Death Company there, you could get 1 extra Thunderhammer hit off. But the most effective lists I've ever seen that with actually was like a Devastator squad, where when the units were dying, they were getting a final shot off with a las cannon. That was cool. Or maybe it was a Centurion squad. But yeah, I mean, the Primaris Ancient, any Ancient that has the Standard of Sacrifice following your characters or your melee around is, or sorry, not your melee, your infantry around is quite a strong option for us. Like I said, this week I ran the Sanguinary Ancient with a Standard of Sacrifice and had him follow an aggressor squad around. Actually, 2 aggressor squads. And like a couple other characters. And that bubble was just like wandering around the map, just killing everything. I think aggressors are, even at their current increase points, are really strong. Okay, so let's keep going with this list. How many points are we at? 1,300. Alright, so we're getting there. So fast attack, he had 2 squads of Outriders. So Outriders are a real conundrum for me, actually. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to grab one because I was literally working on one this morning. So this is a converted Outrider, where I've been trying to, like, see if I can get him in front of the camera. I've been trying to do some freehand on him, get him Death Company'd up. I think he should be pretty cool when I'm finished. But saying that, I have not had any success on the board with Outriders. I've used them in the first 3 games of 9th edition, and in every game, I think in the first game, like, they have a twin bolt rifle, so they get to shoot 4. Essentially, it's just 4 bolter shots. Rapid fire. I think it's a rapid fire to AP -1, 1 damage, 4 damage weapon, 4 strength weapon. Sorry. So you get your 4 shots at strength 4 with -1, and you get that per bike, so you get 12 shots. So if you compare that to like an intercessor squad that's rapid firing, it's exactly the same basically, 2 more shots. And I guess points wise they're about the same. In close combat they get an additional +2 on a turn that they charge. That's like their special bonus. So they have the new chainsword, so it's a -1. So basically, when you charge with the Outriders, let me just get this right. I believe it's... Yeah. Come on, why is it not coming up? Here we go. So you get your 2 attacks. You get +1 for being a Astartes, so it's 3 attacks. You get your special turbo boost, devastating charge there, sorry, so you get your additional 2. So it's 5 attacks from the normal one, and 6 attacks from the Sergeant, so it's 16 attacks. And if we get into turn Is that right? So, oh no, you get +1 more for the chainsword. I'm forgetting that. So it's not 16 attacks, it's 19 attacks these guys get. And then when you're in turn 3 and you're in your Assault Doctrine, it's 22 attacks because they all get an additional 1 from Savage Echoes, and then we go into -2. So you would think 19 attacks, chainswords, strength 4, so with the +1 to wound. You would guess against that. Like if you do manage to charge in, you've got weapon skill 3, so out of 19, let's say like a third of them miss as normal, so it's like 13 or 14 hits maybe. So you get your 14 hits, strength 4 against toughness 4 usually, so again 3s, so again a third miss, so out of your 13 or 14 you maybe get like 8 hits, but it's only -1 and it's only 1 damage. So I don't know, out of that maybe the enemy player loses 4, so maybe like a squad would lose 4 wounds. When you break it down like that, it doesn't feel that strong, or at least my experience with them. I only ran one Outrider squad for 135 points, and yeah, I used them in the first 3 battles, and in my 4th battle I changed them up to an aggressor squad because the aggressors are the exact same point cost. And if we compare them like for like, these guys get to shoot 12 shots. Your aggressor squad gets to shoot, what did I say? Basically 9 shots per model. Yeah, because they get 6 shots per model, and then they get an additional D6 grenades, so it's like 9.5 shots per model. So these guys would get 12 shots at -1. Your aggressors would get 27 shots at -0, I suppose depending on your doctrine. But then when you actually do get into close combat, your aggressor squads have like power fists, and these guys have just chainswords. So yeah, I mean, I get that they can move around a lot. They are exactly the same toughness as an aggressor. They do have 1 additional wound, but the thing about them with their 14-inch move, they're not going to be near your standard of sacrifice, which is what was making my aggressors so tanky, right? These bikes are going to be off on their own, doing their own thing. I mean, technically, I suppose you could have the Sanguinary Ancient follow them around, maybe, and give them their 5+ Feel No Pain, because it's Biker Squad and it works with Biker Squads, and maybe 2 squads of them. But yeah, I just don't quite see their strength, right? Like, I used to use attack bikes in the older editions that had like the multi-meltas on them. And I used to have great value in them because you would have like a little squad of attack bikes that are quite cheap. They'd be able to flank, and then they'd be able to pop like a tank with 2 or 3 multi-meltas. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I think this is the most I've ever had on a live stream. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's hard for me. Like, I kind of want to run Outriders again and see if I can make them work with an army list, but at the same time, I don't like to lose. So, yeah, I'm struggling to find. I'm struggling to see what the value in the Outriders are. Bearing in mind that if you don't win your combat, then I guess you lose 6 attacks. So although we were talking like they get 19 attacks, if they are engaged in combat and they don't kill the enemy, then it drops to 13 attacks because you straight away lose the 2 additional from Devastating Charge. You only get them when you charge. So they get a bit weaker after that first turn, and if they don't kill enough things after that first turn, then yeah, it's kind of... Yeah, I don't know. I guess let's move on. But my experience so far with Outriders hasn't been particularly great. Maybe I'll pull up what Miles said about this list, because he did give me some comments. I was kind of hoping that he might join us in the chat. If Miles, if you're watching the stream, if you want to join us in the chat, that would be cool. So. Yeah, let me know how your Outriders did, or anyone in the chat. Let me know how Outriders did. Have you been finding value with them, and if so, what value? Because I've not seen the value with them yet. And then, okay, so to round out this list, we have 2 heavy squadrons of Eradicators. So I guess Eradicators are kind of like flavor of the month at the moment. A lot of people are running them. I've seen a lot of lists. I actually played one of my friends who's got a tournament list, and he's running the Eradicators. 40 points a model for basically 2 multi-melta shots. And they're assault weapons as well. So although these guys only move 5, they can basically run. They're D6. I guess if they assault, though, it's not like aggressors. So aggressors have a special rule where if they assault, they don't take the -1 for shooting an assault weapon. These guys do take the -1 from shooting with assault weapons, so they would only hit on 4s. But still, each squad 6 multi-melta shots essentially, because I know it's a melta rifle, but it's the same stats as a multi-melta, right? So strength 8 -4 d6 damage, and if you're within half range, roll 2d6 and pick the highest. So yeah. Yeah, I feel like Eradicators are really strong at the moment. I think, do you know what? I heard a rumor that they were going to change to 80 points per model. I don't think they could change to 80 points per model. I think that is probably too many, or too much. Especially when they only hit 50% of the time. So you basically get three melta gun shots at 24 inches. I mean, that's still very strong. Still enough to like pop a tank or a rhino or even like a dreadnought in one turn. I think 80 points per model is what did I say? 85 points per model is too high, but I think these guys may be a little bit undercosted at the moment. So I think if you are using Eradicators, enjoy it while you can, and yeah, put them into your list. That's absolutely fine. Okay, and then actually, so the final thing I did miss here was the Impulsor. So he has an Impulsor with a Stormbolter and the Shield Dome. So I don't know if it was a typo, but Games Workshop had a Shield Dome up on their website as a what was it? As a 5+ invulnerable save. So there could be a change coming here where the Shield Dome is not a 4+ invulnerable save anymore. But yeah, so I guess maybe the Impulsor in this list is for the Blade Guard veteran squad. So it can take 6. It can take 6 Primaris models. That seems like a low amount. That I think the Repulsor can take 10. So it seems a bit sad that it can only take 6. But I mean, I guess you could put your Blade Guard squad in there, right? Or an Assault Intercessor squad in there. I had a Assault Intercessor squad with a Judicar in my Repulsor, and personally I actually love the Judicar. I've had quite a lot of success with him, but yeah, so this Impulsor lets us deliver something to the battlefield. So yeah, let me see what Miles said about this. He said that he played Death Guard and they were just too resilient, and he also felt like starting half his army off the board was a mistake. I'm not sure he didn't say what all he started. I guess he started the Death Company. And he felt they were very fragile. Yes, they are very fragile. A Sanguinary Guard with the Ancient could help. Is a Librarian Dreadnought worth it over Mephiston? Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of like 50-50, right? Librarian Dreadnought is a little bit less in points. He's a little bit harder to wound. I guess the one advantage of the Dreadnought is you can play the Duty Eternal strategy on him to make all damage against him for that turn be reduced by 1. So I could see that being quite strong. But then the Dreadnought has no invulnerable save. I guess Mephiston has no invulnerable save either, but Mephiston does have a 5+ Feel No Pain. So he can survive a bit, but then the Dreadnought's going to have more wounds. So in terms of survivability, they're pretty much the same. They're both going to hit on strength 10. If anything, the Dreadnought's actually going to do a little bit more damage. Mephiston can have 13 attacks if you buff him correctly with Quickening and Red Rampage. So Mephiston can have some more attacks, but he has 35 more points. So yeah, I guess he gets one more psychic power where he could cast he could pick Shield of Sanguinius and give himself invulnerable save. So yeah, I guess I'm not sure what you would drop to get Mythos. Well, I think I would. Do you know what? If it was me, I would drop the bikes, just because. Yeah, just because I haven't seen so much value in them. And then he said it was my first game with Lamartis, and it did mean the Death Company got the charge off, but because they didn't attack first because of the Death Guard shenanigans, they were wiped before they can do anything. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't fully know. Like, I guess I'm just focused 100% on Blood Angels on this channel because that's what I know. Maybe the Death Guard have some sort of way where they can interrupt, and yeah, that. I guess if that is the case, then that kind of sucks. You could have played the refusal to die stratagem on the Death Company. You have to play that when they are targeted as the target of an attack, and on a roll of 5 and 6 rather than just 6, you will be able to make the save. But yeah, I mean, like as I say, until Death Company get buffed, that's not great. You know, they are squishy. I mean, I guess if I was going to change this, and like if you dropped 2 Thunder Hammers, you know, I guess dropping those 2 Thunder Hammers almost makes enough points for 2 more Death Company Marines. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if you just drop the entire Death Company, drop the Primaris Ancient, replace it with the Sanguinary Ancient, and give him the Standard of Sacrifice, and then to get like Sanguinary Guard, how many of them would you be able to get? 1, 2. So you could get like a. Yeah, do you know what? Just by adding a Sanguinary Guard there, you see that Sanguinary Guard with a Power Fist, for example, is the exact same points as the Death Company. He saves on a 2 rather than a 3. He has an additional wound, and he actually has a better invulnerable save if he's next to the Sanguinary Range. Not better invulnerable save, sorry. Better feel no pain. So 2, 4, 6, 7. And then the interesting thing about the Sanguinary Guard, if I am correct, I don't want to say I made him a couple of yeah. So if the Sanguinary Guard are within 6 inches of your Warlord, they get to reroll their hits, and if they're within 6 inches of the Ancient, they get to reroll their ones in the wounds. So you can almost reroll all their attacks. So it's almost it's as good as having Lamartis. So the Death Company, Lamartis lets you reroll your hits. So, I mean, I guess the question though then is, does your captain that joined the Death Company, does he necessarily need to be your Warlord? Like, he doesn't. Like, he could be a... This list has 11 CP, so right, he could be a... Oh, I guess... Yeah, no, I don't think he needs to be the Warlord. I think if we put the Warlord somewhere else, like, couldn't he be a hero of the chapter? Can you... Yeah. So if you still want to have your Smash Captain, you still need him to have the Angel's Wings and that, you could just give him the Hero of the Chapter stratagem, which basically lets him take a Warlord trait without being the Warlord, and then give your Warlord to somebody you want to go with the Sanguinary Guard. At that point, like, I'd almost say, like, remove Lamartis and consider the Sanguinar, because I used the Sanguinar a lot in the last edition, and where is he? The interesting thing that the Sanguinar gets is he gets to add an additional +1 to all attacks of Blood Angel's infantry within 6 inches, right? So if you made him your Warlord, and his is Heroic Bearing, which I believe means you never fail morale. So you have the Sanguinar with the Sanguinar Ancient and the Sanguinary Guard. We're only 2 points over the list. I mean, I guess we could find a way to drop 2 points. And what this does now means that all these Sanguinary Guard get +1 attack. They would get to reroll their hits. They get to reroll wound rolls of 1, and then they all have a 5+ feel no pain, and they have the 2+ save. So yeah, I mean, like, right on paper, that just looks so much more attractive than your Death Company. Bear in mind, an interesting thing of the Sanguiner is he can fall back and charge something else, like Avenging Angel. You can see it right there. Also, these guys all have death masks, which means it's -1 to any leadership for models within 3 inches of them. And yeah, I mean, like, you can arm the Sanguinary Guard how you like, but I feel like swords and axes right now are so strong. Like, the axe, I believe, is +1 strength -2, and the sword is user -3. So I feel like we don't need a shitload of strength because of that +1 that we get to wound rolls. So, like, I feel like you're on the axes, you're probably still going to be wounding on 2s. Anything strength 4 and under, you're going to wound on 2s, and strength 5, you're going to wound toughness 4 and under. So yeah, it's like that alone would make your close combat like a lot stronger. And then yeah, I feel like with that, and assuming the Blade Guards are in the Impulsor, I feel like at that point you need to probably just ditch the bikes. Maybe take some other form of like heavy support, or something that can just like you've got nothing that shoots beyond 24 inches here that has like a really high power. One option for that is a Contemptor Dreadnought, which can a Relic Contemptor Dreadnought, which I think at the moment people are saying is an auto include. Like, I may have literally just bought one. Here's a Relic Contemptor, and that's going to be one of the next assembly videos on my channel because I'm going to magnetize it. But yeah, I feel like a Relic Contemptor with like twin las cannons. So this is a 12 wound dreadnought with a toughness of 8 and toughness of 7, 12 wounds, 2+ save, 5+ invulnerable save, 6+ feel no pain, and it can be armed with 2 las cannons just sitting at the back of the battlefield blasting tanks or whatever is really causing you problems. If you did do that and had to lose the bikes, I mean, how many points have you got left? 83. Yeah, like how I said earlier, like swap out like at least one of these squads for infiltrators so that you aren't getting deep striked and just destroyed off objectives, which is a thing that happens. If you did that, then 63 points, you could bump up this Death Company. Or maybe you could, like you were asking about Mephiston, you could lose the Librarian Dreadnought and get Mephiston into this list. Leaving you 34 points now. If you can't think of anything to do for the 34 points, I can think straight away. Get the Helix added to this squad so that you can heal a model in your Infiltrator squad. So pretty much at that point, you can almost like guarantee you just hold the objective in your deployment zone. No one can deep strike in. Even if they deep strike something's out with 12 inches and shoot at them, if they only get 1 or 2 kills, you can then you can regain a wound on a model, and if a model is slain on a 5+, you can bring it back to life. It kind of lets you forget, or not forget, I guess it kind of lets you not care so much about your backline and get moved forward onto the battlefield. Yeah, so I mean, it's really up to you. The one thing I want to say though, and the one thing that's been kicking me in the ass is, do you know what? I'll show you an example, because if you're not familiar with his website, AnyDice, it's amazing. You can use it to. I've been using it to create some formulas. This is a formula I created before, but do you know what? I'll just AnyDice. So if you just put output 2d6 and hit that, right? So this is just the output, the percentage chances if you hit 2d6 or if you roll 2d6. So when you're deep striking in from charges, this is typically what the dice are going to look like. So if we bring up a calculator and say, as a Blood Angels, we know we need an 8-inch charge when we deep strike, right? Because we're 9 inches away from the enemy. So if we just add these numbers together, 13 plus 11.11 plus 8.33 plus 5.56 and 2.79. This is your chance of making that 8-inch charge. So when you deep strike in, so let's say we deep strike in like your Death Company or your Sanguiner or whatever, anything that needs an 8-inch charge, that is your chance of making that charge. It's 41%. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I have lost games by relying on a unit to drop in and make a charge of 8 inches. And if you are relying on that, then you're probably going to lose games, right? Because it's a 41% chance. So I guess you have to take that into account when you're deciding how much of your units you're going to keep off the battlefield. Now, I don't know how much you kept off, but I suppose like if you are using strategic reserves, yeah, it's exactly the same because Blood Angels get +1 to their charge. So you're 9 inches away from the enemy. That's your chance to get in, and that is what it's going to be. So when you're keeping your units off the battlefield, just consider how you bring them in. Like, can you bring them in a turn earlier than you want to, and get them dropped in cover, and then move forward so you aren't giving yourself such a long charge to get in? Or is there any other options that might be available to you? Because personally, I don't like relying on a 41% chance to make a charge that's going to win me a game. And I guess that's why the 3d6 charge that you get from Descent of the Angels, it costs 2 CP, which is quite a lot, but using it correctly or sparingly to guarantee the charges is really important, and it's just something to consider when you're building your list and you're trying to be competitive. So yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of tangents there, Miles, but a lot of strategy as well. Hopefully, so if anyone was watching the stream and you enjoyed it, then thank you. Every week I'm looking at somebody's list and I'm trying to just give my 2 cents on how maybe I can make the list better, or what I think, or what the weaknesses could be. Obviously I don't know, but I am now trying to play, I've played 4 games of 9th edition. Every game I've played, I have had more points left on the board than my opponent. I might not have won every game, but I have definitely killed more than I have lost. And I am now starting to win games, maybe because I've kind of figured out what I'm doing in 9th. But yeah, I'll definitely help people out and tell them what I've been finding. And yeah, I hope... I know that a few people stayed and watched a heap of the stream, so thank you very much. It means a lot to me to see the sport. And yeah, I haven't quite worked out what we're doing yet on this week's channel, or the videos on this channel this week, but hopefully I'll have something exciting to share again this week. So yeah, thanks very much for your time, guys, and I really hope this was useful, Miles. I will save this list and send it over to you as always, and yeah, okay, until next time, guys, then, take it easy. Peace.